Welcome to Witchy Shit by Design, the podcast where we call out old patterns, dismantle the conditioning of a patriarchal society, and reclaim the power that was never meant to be given away. I'm your host, Michaela Stone, behavior analyst, human design strategist, lifelong nomad, and professional life untangler. Here, the conversation is spicy, guided by a no-bullshit, wise woman perspective that says what needs to be said. This podcast is for those who are done living under invisible rules that keep them running in ever smaller circles, and who are ready to design a life that actually feels like their own. Through solo episodes and conversations with guests who are magical by practice, magical by nature, or a powerful blend of both, we explore the many pathways to personal sovereignty. If you're ready for truth, transformation, and a little witchy wisdom along the way, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Let's dive into the witchy shit by design. Welcome back to Witchy Shit by Design. I'm your host, Michaela Stone, and today I'm going to talk to you all by my lonesome. I want to talk to you about exhaustion. Not just being tired, not the I stayed up too late scrolling kind of tired. I mean that deeper kind of exhaustion where your body feels like something you drag behind you instead of live inside. You know what I mean? I suspect you do. Maybe lately you've noticed that you're irritated more easily or emotional in ways that maybe don't make sense to you, maybe unexpected to you even. Or maybe tiny things feel so freaking huge. Maybe you keep telling yourself that you just need to catch up before you can rest. There's the thing. Before you can rest. Because somehow you never catch up. I think a lot of people, especially women, are living like this right now. Functioning on fumes. Running entirely on obligation, adrenaline, caffeine, guilt, and frickin' muscle memory. The strange thing is, from the outside, it often looks like competence. People will praise you for it. They say things like, I don't know how you do it all. You're so strong. You're always there for everyone. And you beam with pride, don't you? Because you are that superhero. And meanwhile, your poor nervous system is somewhere in the corner waving a little white flag. Help! Because, you're not a good person just because you're exhausting yourself. That's not how it works. But we tend to think it does. So probably nobody sat you down with a PowerPoint when you were a kid telling you that self-abandonment for beginners, start here, 101. But, the messaging was there, even if you weren't directly told it. Be helpful, especially if you're a woman, okay? Let me just add that caveat. So be agreeable, be productive. Don't be difficult, don't be selfish, and don't be lazy. Oh man, let me get off on a rant about the word lazy, because I have a big thing about that. If you want to look this up online, you'll find it for yourself. But Puritans are the ones who really developed the concept of laziness. Laziness does not actually exist. It's one of the most manipulative words created, because laziness is a stick to beat you with, right? They will tell you, oh, you're being lazy, you should try harder, especially as you're a kid, right? It's probably on your report card somewhere. But what's laziness really? I don't think it exists. It's exhaustion that exists, or overwhelm. How about burnout? Depression? Grief? Nervous system shutdown? All of those things do exist. But lazy? I think it's just a moral accusation thrown at human beings whose bodies are just begging for rest. It's that old Puritan ghost still hanging around in modern culture, whispering, if you're not producing, you're failing. Who are you if you can't do it all? And people internalize that deeply, right? Especially women. Oh, you know that thing that people love to say, these days women can have it all. And I kind of like to pause on that one because, okay, women can have it all, and that tends to refer to you can work, you can have the children, you can, do all the things. Why? Why do you have to do it all? Why is it you? Why can men not also have it all? Oh, wait, they kind of do, but the have it all for them is different, isn't it? Because nobody expects them to be the one that stops work to run and pick up the kid from school because they're sick. Nobody expects the men to drop everything because something else is happening to do with the family somewhere, right? But the woman, she's supposed to be fully competent at work, fully achieving and proving herself. And that's another thing I could get on a rant about. But anyway, she's supposed to be doing all those things. And her version of having it all is she gets to look after the kids. And then she probably goes home and does all the housekeeping stuff as well and the cooking and what have you. That's what having it all means. Well, yuck. Like, is that really, that's desirable? No. How about the couple has it all and shares it? Or you co-parent but you share it. It's not a case of you have it all and you become the one that does everything. Anyway, that's a bit of a side rant, but back to the point of you learn early, very early, that being useful keeps you safe, right? If you're the easy child, the responsible one, the helper, the emotional support daughter. Oh boy, hands up. Who fits that? How about the peacemaker? The one who didn't need much. If that was you, if you're recognizing yourself, then there's a very good chance your nervous system learned something really limiting, and I would even say dangerous. And that is that your worth lies in what you do for other people. Now just consider that for a moment. Do you feel most valuable when you're doing things for other people? Is that when you come alive? Hmm. Well, think about the effects of that. Because even as an adult, your body says, I'm exhausted. And your conditioning, that childhood experience, immediately says, well, push through. You can do this. Your body says, I need rest. Your brain says, I need a break. And your mind says, yeah, but you haven't earned it yet. And that's the part that I really want you to sit with today, because I don't think rest is something that you can earn. I think rest is supposed to come first. I mean, it's the thing that allows humans to function well in the first place. We've built lives and honestly entire identities around overriding ourselves. And it's really time to call bullspit on that one. People pleasing becomes the engine that keeps the whole thing moving. And you know what that looks like? You say yes when you mean no. You don't even think about it. The yes is out of your mouth, and your brain is left wondering, yeah, but why did I say that? I don't want to. You answer messages when you desperately want silence. I mean, what do you make it mean about you when that message pings? In that moment, are you the person who always answers immediately? If you don't, what happens? Does the world stop revolving? Do people dislike you because you didn't answer immediately? Do they get impatient with you? Hmm, you may have some boundaries to set around that, right? Because I've met people who do think that way. And those people, they'll keep showing up rapidly, even when they don't want to. There's a sort of vigilance, a hypervigilance, even about phone messages. Like, for goodness sakes, put it on do not disturb. So while you keep showing up with a smile and quietly fantasizing about disappearing into the woods for 6 months, your poor body is battling. So, especially if you're a woman, but not only, do you happen to have a chronic health condition? Do you have an autoimmune condition? I am not here to tell you it's in your mind. I'm here to tell you it's very definitely in your body. And it's your body telling you, I need some frickin' rest. I need more than rest. I need to be taken care of and not put last on the list, if on the list at all. That's the whole thing, right? But meanwhile, we live in a society where people pleasing gets rewarded. That's the trap. The more you abandon yourself, the more socially acceptable you become. People like the version of you that overextends, the version that never complains, the version that accommodates everyone, that version of you that keeps the emotional temperature comfortable for everybody else. But your body knows. It knows when you're betraying yourself, and eventually it starts to get your attention. That's what I was just talking about with the chronic health conditions. Maybe you get anxiety. Maybe it's brain fog, a resentment that's just kind of simmering, but you can't put your finger on why. Maybe you get so emotional over little things, as I mentioned earlier, because your nervous system's just had enough. It's like it's on overdrive. It is done. And that frustration that comes up for you then gets turned inward, right? What's wrong with me? Why can't I handle things better? Why am I so tired all the time? Did you start to think it was normal? Did you think that falling out of bed in the morning, absolutely exhausted when you woke up, is what everybody does? Hmm. It's not supposed to be that way, actually. That's what I hear tell. So, if you are waking up exhausted every day, pay attention because, of course, you're tired. You're carrying the emotional labor of six people and functioning in a state of low grade survival mode. One of the saddest parts, though, is when you do get rest, it doesn't even feel restful. Sometimes it feels downright uncomfortable, even unsafe. I mean, have you noticed that? You sit down and how do you feel? Do you feel guilty? Yeah. Do you suddenly remember all the things that you should be doing? You start shoulding on yourself? Oh, yeah. Or maybe you start feeling restless and anxious. Like you need to justify your existence. You need to validate why you're sitting down for a minute. Yeah? That's conditioning. That's what happens when your body learns that your value is tied to usefulness. Stillness starts to feel threatening. And I think this is why so many women say they don't even know who they are anymore. Because when you spend years shape shifting around everyone else's needs, you eventually lose contact with your own. So you stop asking yourself, what do I want? You just automatically go to what's going to make everybody else comfortable. Let's keep the room safe, right? That's not alignment, that's survival. And I think many women are surviving inside lives that look pretty successful from the outside. And that's the sneaky part because you can be competent and deeply disconnected from yourself at the same time. You can be productive and miserable, needed and lonely. And I want to point that one out. Some of the loneliest people are the ones who are very busy working for and helping other people, right? Think of the comedians who are really depressed, or the ones that are always seen to be helping other people, and then suddenly, oh, wow, what happened? But I thought they were so happy. And you realize that no, they really, really weren't. They can be admired and exhausted. So I think about this kind of thing a lot when you hear the subject of self care, because honestly, most self care advice just feels like trying to decorate burnout, right? Take a bubble bath, buy a candle, drink more water. And sure, hydration's great. I support candles wholeheartedly. Love them. Have as many colors and shapes as you like. Absolutely. But none of that matters if your life fundamentally requires your self abandonment to function. You cannot heal in a life that demands you betray yourself daily. And this is where community becomes incredibly important, in my opinion. Real community, not performance, not networking, right? I'm not talking about that. Not look how healed I am on social media. Gosh, talk about performative. I mean the kind of community where you can actually take off your bra and let your breath out, right? This is not an exposure thing. I'm just saying you can relax. Nobody needs you to perform wellness. Nobody needs you to be inspiring all the time. And a place where you can say, I'm struggling. I'm tired. I actually can't carry this anymore. I'm over it. I'm done. And instead of somebody jumping in to shame or fix or minimize you, you are met. You are held, and you get to sit with that without somebody jumping in and telling you how to feel about it. I think that's something that's really missing from our society right now. Human beings heal through safe connection, far more than we realize. Your nervous system learns safety through experience, not through reading something or some quick reel on TikTok or whatever. You need to experience it. Lived moments where your body realizes, oh, I said that thing and nothing happened. I can sit here and other people are doing the same thing. Maybe we're all okay. I can exist without constantly proving my value. Do any of these thoughts occur to you as something that might be, oh, I don't know, refreshing? Because I can tell you it changes people. And honestly, I think that's part of why spaces where you can simply be without becoming feel almost radical at this point. Modern life has trained people to believe that they must constantly optimize themselves. Women, especially so. Everything has become productivity, even healing, spirituality, even rest. People are out here stress optimizing their meditation routines, setting their timers so they don't overdo it. And meanwhile, their bodies just want a break. They just want rest, like real rest, not scheduled rest. Slowness. They want to sort of feel enough. No more performance. And maybe what this episode's really about is permission. Permission to stop treating yourself like a machine. Permission to recognize that exhaustion is not actually a personality trait. To notice how often you override yourself in the name of being good. Permission to actually rest before you completely fall apart. Because collapse should not be the first acceptable stopping point. You don't need to earn your humanity. You don't need to justify your need for rest. And if you're around people who require that of you, seriously look at who you're hanging out with because they are not helping. Okay? They really aren't. You are allowed to disappoint people who have benefited from your constant overfunctioning. I'm going to say that again because I think it's so important. You can, I'm not going to say should, let's go with allowed. You are allowed to disappoint people who benefited from your constant overfunctioning. That's so important because sometimes the people who are most upset by your boundaries are the ones who are most comfortable with your self-abandonment. And that's a very uncomfortable realization, but it's still true. I also want to say this: rest is not the opposite of meaningful work. Rest is what allows meaningful work to exist sustainably. So you think more clearly when you're rested. You love better when you're rested. You regulate your emotions better when you're rested. That does not mean control. Please understand me. I said regulate. You create better when you're rested. Exhaustion is not evidence of virtue, despite what the Puritans would say. It's evidence that something needs attention. And maybe today that attention starts very simply. Maybe it starts with noticing the things I've been talking about. How often do you say yes automatically? How uncomfortable do you feel when you take a break and you rest? Who rushes to tell you that there's something you could be doing while you're on your break? You see that too. Oh, hey, while you're resting, can you just do this thing for me? Or, oh, could you send an email when you're on your break? No. How about no, because that means I'm not on a break, right? Notice the guilt. Notice the pressure you put yourself under to always be useful. Must you always be useful? Your awareness of this will change things. Not overnight, true, not magically even, despite the podcast. But honestly, awareness is often the first step towards stopping gaslighting yourself. And maybe after listening to this, you could go take a nap because, maybe you have something you could cancel that's not necessary to do. Maybe you've got housework that was on your list of really important things to do. Is it though? I was telling someone the other day that I don't love dusting, and I have like 6 dogs and 5 cats. So we have a lot of animals in this house. And you dust, and as soon as one animal shakes, it's all back again, right? So I put smiley faces in it. Every now and then I'll get in there and dust, but it's really not as frequent as you might think. And yet the world turns. And yet I don't think my usefulness went down, and I don't think my partner even notices. And if he did, and if it bothered him, I'm going to be really radical here and say he could dust, right? It doesn't have to be on me. So that's the kind of thing that I've been thinking about recently as I'm dealing with my own exhaustion and my own battles around this awareness. I'm walking the talk here. I'm doing it too. So, can you ask for help? Can you sit outside for 10 minutes in your break time without worrying the whole time about what you're going to do when you finish your break? Can you just let your mind rest? It does matter. Try it. Because when you start practicing the radical act of existing without constantly proving your worth, it matters. It matters more than you know. Because this is going to change how you see your priorities. Where are your priorities? Do you even have priorities? And did you know that priority means one thing? You can't have 5 different things that are a priority because the word literally means one top thing. So, where are you trying to give yourself 5 one top things? Think about it. It just doesn't make sense, right? So this is what's been on my mind lately. And I'm going to say if this episode hits somewhere tender in you, then I hope you were gentle with yourself. And yeah, go drink some water. That's not a frivolous thing, even if I did have it with the self-care trite comments that people trot out. But hydration is good. Put your feet on the ground if you're in a place where you can do that and not step on something nasty. Let your shoulders relax away from your ears. Notice how close to your ears are they? That's some serious tension there. You don't have to solve everything right now. You just have to stop abandoning yourself long enough to hear what your body's been trying to say. Do you think you can do that with me? I would love for you to send me a comment. You can find me, Michaela at witchyshit.com. Sorry, Michaela at witchyshitbydesign.com. Let's get that one straight, or you'll be sending it to the wrong person. You can find me on Facebook. I'm very easy to find. Michaela Gaffin-Stone. I believe there's only one of me out there. Meanwhile, I will see you next time on this wonderful podcast, Witchy Shit by Design. Thank you for listening.